Rolling.
Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores brings you Garage Logic Podcast number 1015, Feb 7, 2023. 53 degrees on this day in 1987. I seem to recall 1987 had a very nice warm glide into spring. And 29 below in 1875.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reavers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, Johhny Heidt in the newsroom, and of course, the Rookie. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Soucheray.
I got an email yesterday from a fellow who was very concerned that the Minnesota legislature is kicking around the idea of taking away children whose parents do not go along with the child's chosen identity. And he said this is an outrage. And as far as he has written, I couldn't agree more. That would be an outrage. And he linked me to the bill, and it's not really quite the way he was worried about it. So John and I have been talking about it off here. It's House File 146. And John, you've determined this has been authored by Lee Finke?
Correct, yes.
Who is a trans person.
Mm-hmm.
And as near as I can tell, it's a bill for an act relating to children, preventing the use of subpoenas to gather information for out-of-state laws interfering in the use of gender-affirming health care in Minnesota, amending child custody and child welfare positions related to out-of-state laws interfering in the use of gender-affirming health care, amending provisions related to warrants, arrests, and extraditions related to out-of-state laws on gender-affirming health care, amending a variety of Minnesota statutes. Well, just for starters, that Finke is the author reinforces my idea that political identity groups get elected to the legislature merely to work on their own political identity.
Bam.
It's unlikely you'd see Finke author a bill about garbage collection issues or bridges or streetlights or what have you. He or it or she, I suppose I shouldn't be unkind. She, I guess, is only there for one reason. And that's to
push her political agenda,
bolster the transgender community.
I thought you were going to do an Earl Weaver on me there.
Yeah, you're here for one reason.
One reason.
Well, as near as I can interpret that, and John will correct me if I'm wrong, what that refers to is apparently, is it Finke?
Yes, it's pronounced Finke.
Finke has a wish to make Minnesota, apparently, a transgender refuge state. Would that be a fair way to say it?
I think so, yep.
And what does that mean?
Well, what it means is if you're refuge. A 10-year-old girl in Nebraska and you want to become a boy, and they, through their great wisdom in Nebraska, have laws that basically say you're not old enough to make that decision, kid. Okay. Why don't you just hang on for a while?
Agreed.
Finke would suggest that kid instead come to Minnesota and receive whatever gender-affirming care she desires to become a male. And by the way, there's 852 genders. Why in gender reassignment surgery is there only two options? Huh?
You raised a good question.
I got you.
I'm sorry to say I don't know enough about it. I haven't done my research on it.
There's two options, but you want to tell me you got 854 genders. In any event, Finke, who, to my way of thinking, came to the legislature for only one reason and apparently found enough people like-minded to vote for her, she would wish to make Minnesota a, what do we call it for immigrants? What do we call the states?
Not an immigrant, or
safe havens or
Safe haven for immigrants. Oh, look.
whatever.
Safe harbor.
Safe harbor. This would be the case for transgender kids, and I think that kids would reach an age where if they're going to make this decision, they're going to make that decision, and there's nothing I can do about it. But to suggest that young children are capable of this decision is heinous, absurd, preposterous, evil, wrong, whatever you want to say. I don't know what the cutoff age is, but it ain't 9 or 10.
But if
And
you're
it ain't 12.
If your son or your daughter wants to wear a dress or wants to dress like a tomboy, just let them. You don't have to try to change or create this. Now you are a girl, Tommy.
Okay, Dr. Phil.
Here we go. I'm available.
Yeah.
We're getting away from, though, what this bill is here.
Well,
We're
I'm laser
talking-
focused on the bill. I have the
we're
entire bill in front of me.
Talking on an emotional level here when we should have a lawyer or somebody on to break this down. It establishes Minnesota as a trans refuge, preventing out-of-state laws
Right.
from
So the
that
kid from
itself-
Nebraska can come to Minnesota and have whatever she wants done to her, despite what Nebraska laws say.
Well, isn't that just as dumb as saying, well, you can drive 80 miles an hour in North Dakota, but not Minnesota,
Well,
and
that
we're
is
going to
a
make
law.
a special law saying if you're from North Dakota, you can't. Am I on the right track?
Oh, I
or
see
no?
what you're saying. So,
Am
so
I
you're
just
saying,
super confused?
yeah, you can't come here and drive 75 like you can in
Yeah,
North Dakota. Is that what
isn't
you're
that
saying?
what we're saying?
But
I
you
see
have
what
it
you're
backwards.
saying.
You have it
Oh,
backwards.
I do. Oh,
Well, to continue your analogy, you're not allowed to drive. Well, how would it work?
yeah. Maybe we should just back the tape up here. It seems like a stupid waste of time, is what I was about to.
Well, no, but
that's my point.
I predict that Finke will prevail.
Yeah.
I predict that.
Right, but it's a law that doesn't need to exist, does it?
Joe, there is a part of it, and I'm not a legal expert, needless to say, about custody, which I would love to have somebody explain to me.
Okay, now
maybe
we're
that's
getting
what
some-
that might
that's
be what the
it is.
letter,
Yeah,
letter writer is.
kids.
You
addressing.
mean like maybe there were some issues where the parents split? And
So
now,
if a minor escapes in Nebraska, comes up here for gender affirming health care, the Nebraska law is saying the parents can get their kids back. We won't recognize that.
Right.
It's not that specific. It's more if there's issues with the parents and the kid. And like I said, to me, this is half legalese reading the bill.
I don't know any
so.
gender lawyers. I'm more than happy to talk to one.
Yeah, neither do I.
there's probably a small
Which I'm
percentage.
sure is now a very strong subspecialty of the legal profession. I'm sure that these gender lawyers are springing up as fast as you can put the sign
Okay,
on the
but
door.
you're falling for it. The squeaky wheel is getting all the grease. We know by design that percentage of the population is not 50 or 75%.
No.
It's minuscule.
No, and I think what people like Finke are doing is obscene when it comes to children. And it seems to me that the trans people want to validate their own decisions by making sure there's plenty of other trans people.
Yeah, you'd think if you were genuine about it that you would want those kids to reach adulthood and
Want to make up their own mind.
Make that decision when they're adults.
But not only Finke, now that John has enlightened me that this is a Finke proposition for a trans refuge state, I have seen on the news or read other trans people testifying that they wish for Minnesota to be a refuge state. A trans woman with 2 gender expansive children. I don't even know what that means. She was rooting for this. Let's put it this way. Given that the DFL is by no stretch of the imagination the DFL that we once recognized, it would not surprise me a bit if Finke succeeds in creating this refugee status for trans people in Minnesota.
I already consider it law.
Yeah,
it's
it'll be passed.
whatever insane
And that
idea
Walsey,
they come up with.
Walsey
Yeah.
can't read, so he'd sign
No,
it.
yeah.
He doesn't know what he's doing.
Gender affirming health care,
Walls,
even.
never have I run into a local political figure that's been more disappointing than you. I just can't get over it.
Really?
Yep. I just can't come up with one.
Oh.
Well, I don't count the likes of John Thompson. He didn't last long enough.
Yeah.
I started out in the Walls camp. I just
You keep saying that. We keep advising you to not say that out
That
loud.
might be why you're so.
I guess I'm so disappointed in myself.
Disappointed,
Yeah,
because you
maybe
started
look in the
there.
mirror.
Because I
Do you
fell for
even-
the BS.
Do you know what gender affirming health care is?
Yes.
It's designed to support and affirm an individual's gender identity when it conflicts with the gender they were assigned with at birth.
Yeah,
So if
you're not assigned anything at birth. You're born.
Yeah. So if you're a girl, but you think you're a boy,
You come on to Minnesota
But
while
you
you're here, go
have-
to the state fair.
but you have girl parts, but you think you're a boy, we're going to talk you through it.
Yeah, we'll
That's
get you through that.
That's what gender affirming
We'll
health
get you a
care
little new swimsuit area and the whole deal, and your parents can't do a damn thing about it. That's great. It's a hell of a state. One more reason to leave if you can. But getting back to the original email from Austin, I hope this helps you, Austin. I don't think it. Wait a minute now. Wait a minute. Hold everything.
What are you saying?
If this kind of accommodation, it's not law yet, but let's say it becomes law. If this kind of accommodation becomes available to the children of Ohio coming to Minnesota, then won't it also be true of the children who live in Minnesota?
Sure.
In other words, I'm the parent of a 3-year-old.
Right.
Or no, let's make it more plausible. I'm the parent of a 10-year-old in Minnesota. I live in Richfield. My child wishes to become a girl, and I am putting up a fight. I'm saying I don't think you're ready for that decision. I think you would probably find the system against you. The doctors, the laws, the legislature, the activist groups would all say the parent has no business interfering in this.
And
Which is a dreadful prospect for the future of the human race. Really.
But you shouldn't be surprised. We've already established that the left does not like families, children, etc.
They don't even like people.
Right.
Well, let me kick around the idea of trying to find a gender lawyer. I gotta believe there's a million of them.
You think big firms are got them, or you think it's just mom and pop?
I think the big firms are going to drop one in.
They probably see a money factor.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
I think at this point, all we need is a lawyer of any kind to read the legalese and tell us if we're on the right track or not. I don't know that we need a gender lawyer, do we? We just need somebody to thoroughly explain this bill.
Yeah.
But yeah, consider it law. It'll happen, Such.
Garage Logic can take credit by a few degrees of separation for shooting down the Chinese balloon.
Oh,
Yeah.
how do we do that?
Well, Joe, I've been a loyal listener to the show since being introduced to you by a friend in Belle Plaine several years ago. I've listened with interest to your discussion regarding the Chinese balloon. My son is a USAF test pilot and fighter pilot. I talked to him this weekend and asked about the balloon, and he said it was shot down by a buddy of his and that there were plenty of pilots, including him, who would have loved to destroy the balloon much earlier but were precluded from doing so by Pentagon officials. I thought you and the boys might find some humor in knowing a GL listener has a distant, vicarious connection to the dissemination of the Chinese balloon. And as Kenny said, if it weren't for Pentagon restraints, there would have been a lot of other stuff shot down over the years, too. And finally, knowing your collective love of cylinders, if you are familiar with the show Jay Leno's Garage, of course I am, find the episode when the show was filmed at Edwards Air Force Base. The F-16 that buzzes Leno and his guest as they're standing on the tarmac was piloted by my son.
Nice.
Wow.
Damn it.
Cool.
Why am I always the last one to know about these things?
GL is claiming a laying on of hands to the taking down of the Chinese balloon.
Yes. All on our own.
Hell, I'm more impressed by the Leno flyby.
Keeping myself in the canoe and my face out of the potatoes while fighting against the countless euphorians in this state. Keep up the good work. CJ Florendo. Isn't that neat? We have a connection.
Man, the reach of GL, huh?
We have a connection.
I love it.
That's pretty cool.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. We have a connection. We need help. We can't let go of this. So this is our big opportunity, GLers, to milk that Kamala Harris appearance in St. Cloud for all we can get out of it, because it'll be a fiasco. We need, I'm ready to start making assignments. We need a GLer in St. Cloud, and I'm being very serious, just to be in charge of her motorcade.
Yep. Count the numbers.
Count the EV vehicles in her motorcade. I'm serious. We need a GLer who's willing to sacrifice seeing her or getting into the building or whatever, but is willing to position himself or herself in such a way that the motorcade vehicles can be counted and examined for their electric
You know this is
battery
where
use.
they're total hypocrites, too.
Right.
Well, about that, where are they flying into?
I'm sure here.
I wondered that,
No,
too.
I don't know.
No.
St. Cloud's got an airport.
There's no way they're going to shut down the freeway between here and St.
What's
Cloud.
Air Force 2?
Well, does she fly? She
What is Air
doesn't
Force?
fly a 747,
No.
does she?
No, she flies Air Force 2.
Well, that probably can land in St. Cloud.
They've got one airstrip.
Brainerd could probably accommodate her plane.
Air Force
Ripley?
2 is the air traffic control design call. Okay, yes. The term is associated with the Boeing C-32, a modified 757, which is
That's a
most
big
commonly
plane.
used as the vice president's transport.
That's a big plane.
Here's what I see.
Yeah.
I see him going into Ripley and taking a helicopter down there.
Maybe that's it.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, because Ripley can take
I don't
those
even-
big
I don't
cargo.
see I don't see a strip at. Oh yeah, they've got to have one, right? I don't see a strip at Ripley though.
The Boeing C-32 was first delivered to the U.S. Air
That's
Force
all not
in May
necessary.
of 98.
That's okay. That's okay. We know you found out. It's a big plane. And so I don't know where they're going to put it down, but that's a good point. But we need a GLer, and that GLer's only task for that day is vehicles. Now, we might need some other GLers who are inside, whose only task is to capture every word. So you got your work cut out for you, St. Cloud GLers, because our golden girl is coming to St. Cloud. And we want every possible bit of info we can get on that. It was from Dallas that we got that urgent plea. Paul Petrozewski in Dallas wants us to have someone count the electric vehicles. We need a GLer press her on it during her talk. Come on, Kenny, get in there. You look like a euphorian. Please do it. I don't think Kenny looks like a euphorian.
No, I don't either.
He looks like, well, we don't even know what he looks like.
I found an airstrip, but it sure looks short.
In
At
St.
Ripley.
Cloud?
At Ripley.
At Ripley? Well, aren't the hoi polloi, no, that's the wrong word. Aren't the rich guys flying pretty sizable jets into Brainerd these days?
Yeah.
Yeah, but a
But a
757.
757, man, that might have to land here, and you're going to close the freeway all day.
No, they'll take a helicopter.
Yeah,
What time is she due here?
we don't know.
Oh.
But man, we're really looking forward to it.
Oh, can't hardly
According to
wait.
James VStat via Messenger, Air Force to connect, land at Mankato, St. Cloud, no problem.
But she's not
Mankato?
going to Mankato.
This is what. Sorry, guys. Air
Let's
Force
you're
to
getting
connect, land
farther away from
at
St. Cloud.
Mankato.
Why don't you just
St.
land
Cloud,
in
no problem.
Omaha?
Oh, I think he said, hey, it's landed in Mankato,
Oh.
so St. Cloud's probably not a problem.
Maybe that's it. Well, let me tell you something. Spring is coming. The sun's going to shine today, and it's a very good time to get to EcoFun Motorsports in Forest Lake and Burnsville and get going on your electric bikes, the scooters that turn every errand into an adventure. the youth recreational equipment, the 4x4s, golf carts. 2 locations for EcoFun Motorsports on Highway 97, just west of 35 up near Forest Lake, and in Burnsville on the county road, on the service road of life near County Road 42. Great apparel, great service, helmets, all of this really, really fun recreational equipment that'll turn your summer around. Gas prices are rising again. Why are we not hearing complaints? I haven't heard a peep of complaint about the rising gas prices. But don't worry, when you're on one of those scooters from EcoFun, you're going to get about 80 to 90 miles to gallon, and you do all your summer errands on a scooter, and you're really going to be defeating the man. It's EcoFunMotorsports.com. EcoFun Motorsports in Forest Lake and Burnsville.
His driveway looks the worst on the block. He's Joe Souchere.
Happy Valentine's
Ooh,
Day.
it's getting close.
When
isn't
is that?
A week and a
Week
day.
from today.
Next
Yeah.
week. Yeah.
Tuesday. Yep.
Big Valentine's Day sale going on select Colonial and USA safes by Liberty safes, made right here in the good old United States of America. Best fire protection in the business. Transferable lifetime warranties, and courtesy of Rich at Maple Grove Lock and Safe. Professional delivery and installation, always an option. And this big Valentine's Day sale, you're going to save up to $300 on the Colonial and USA safes by Liberty. Forget about the flowers and all that cliched nonsense. Get your loved ones something where they can hide their stuff. You get your own little code. Who knows what he's got in there? I don't know what she's got in there. I don't know. I've tried getting in. It's locked. It's a Liberty safe. I can't get in. Maybe she's got a boyfriend in there. Maybe she's got a couple. You just don't know. And that's the way it should be with a Liberty safe. You just don't know. Give the gift of security, safety, and savings this Valentine's Day. Get that loved one a Liberty safe. The gift that keeps on giving, no matter what calamity comes your way. 6901 East Fish Lake Road in Maple Grove, and on the web, maplegrovelockandsafe.com.
I worry about stuff that other people don't worry about.
You see?
That's true. Yes.
See, I don't worry about what the temperature's supposed to be, for example.
Yep.
I worry about, like on the Grammys I was clicking, they dressed up some fat guy in a devil suit. And they did a devil song.
Sam or something.
Yeah, I worry about stuff like
Sam
that.
Smith, #1 record for the last 7 weeks.
Yeah, but he's just a fat guy with a devil suit.
But Sam Smith is not, right? Isn't he a skinny little twit?
I don't know. But then I was worried, this is from the Star Tribune. Teen admits luring man to Minneapolis apartment where she recorded him being fatally beaten. See, I worry about stuff like that.
Worrisome.
The decline of moral and ethical integrity unnerves me more than all you crackpots wondering what the temperature should be. A teenager has admitted to luring a man to downtown Minneapolis apartment where she recorded him being fatally beaten by her boyfriend, and then posted the killing on social media.
Wow.
I guess it's the posting the killing on social media that alerts me to this being something I'm terribly unnerved by.
I think it's everything wrapped into one.
Quiriana?
How do you spell that name?
Swinging
Give
it.
me a Gertrude or a Ruth.
Curiana K. Young, 17, of Minneapolis, pleaded
That's a
guilty
problem.
Monday in Hennepin County District Court to aiding and abetting first-degree manslaughter in connection with the beating in March of 2022 of Jager L. David of Maplewood at an apartment on the 1300 block of South Nicollet Avenue. The plea agreement between the defense and the prosecution calls for Young to receive a sentence ranging from slightly more than 7 years to a maximum of 8.5 years.
No.
With credit for time in jail since her arrest. Young could expect to serve anywhere from 4.25 to 5.25 years in prison and the balance in supervised release. Her sentencing is scheduled for April 14th. Okay, she's 17.
That she should be tried as an adult and not be. I'm 17. She's grown up.
She'll get the minimum because the Democrats are in charge. So she'll get 4 years. She'll only be 21. She can do this again.
She probably will. I don't trust
She's
her.
actually 18 now.
Okay, she'll be 22. She can do this again.
Yes.
In July, accomplice Emmanuel T. Davis, 20, of Minneapolis, was sentenced in Hennepin County District Court to a term of roughly 20 years after pleading guilty to second-degree murder during a robbery. He'll serve about 13 years in prison and the rest on supervised release.
That doesn't seem like enough either. I'm sorry.
According to the criminal complaint, a relative of David's, now David is the Jagger L. David, the guy who died, a relative of David's told police that she received a cell phone video showing him being kicked in the head. The video, recorded by Young, appeared to have been posted from David's phone to Facebook. Police tracked down David at a hospital where he was unresponsive and had severe head trauma that proved fatal, the complaint read. The video post led officers to Davis. He admitted to police that he hired Young. Okay, so the male hired the chick to lure the victim to the apartment, intending to stomp on him a little bit, according to the charges. I only had one beer. He also admitted to stealing.
To stomp on him a little bit, like he's got some type of
beer.
Right.
He also admitted to stealing the victim's phone and sending videos and messages to people after the assault. Okay, you go ahead, euphorians. You worry about what you want to worry about. I'll worry about what I want to worry about. And I worry about that there are too many of these broken young people walking and living among us. And they're disturbed and they're troubled, and it's a constant search for how to help them. But you have no. These people have no morality. They have no moral foundation. None. Zero. It doesn't exist. They're heartless, and they're.
What's the price to hire someone to beat somebody down?
I don't know.
And if he went too far and killed them, I don't know. I don't know people like that.
Why did you say? Why?
Why what?
Why did he get why did they kill him?
Well, he went too far. He
was
just supposed to beat him down.
So it was just a robbery.
Well, it was a robbery that turned into a murder.
Yeah. Jeez.
But if you know you're bringing somebody over and you're going to even hit him once or twice, I don't know why he was lured over. That's a whole nother.
Bert has an idea. Do you think he wants to form a nonprofit group to sustain regulatory oversight of nonprofits in Minnesota? I think we should create a civilian nonprofit group to sustain regulatory oversight of youth. I don't know how we would do that, but it's not being handled now by these frauds we have in place.
Joe, there are other things to worry about,
and
like the transgenders.
John, when I say I think race relations are better now than they were whatever number of years I picked, 50 years ago or whatever, I ain't whistling Dixie.
I thought you said they were worse now.
No.
Yesterday.
That's what I meant. They're worse now than they were. And I brought up a letter yesterday that an emailer said his wife found in Grandma's stack of stuff.
Yeah.
And the guy who wrote the letter to the Minneapolis Star, which at that point was the evening paper, was named Jesse Allen. And you both poo-pooed it, and you said, well, that sounds like it was written right now. Well, leave it to GLers. Dominic Pierre. On yesterday's podcast, you read a letter to the editor from an old newspaper article. The letter was from Mr. Jesse Allen, and I would consider it a ray of hope, as I did, but you didn't because you poo-pooed it. Unfortunately, Mr. FYI and Mr. Optimism Olson had their doubts.
Well, we've been played before, Such. I'm very wary of people pushing their agenda on us by giving us stuff that has not been sourced.
I could tell from the quality of the reproduction of the letter to the editor that it was
Okay,
real. But here, I'm going to give you the corroboration. Well, let me FYI, Mr. FYI.
Okay,
There we go.
good.
It took me approximately 45 seconds to search the same newspaper program he uses to find the actual letter to the editor. No, it was not from the 1950s. Rather, it was from Friday, January 23rd, 1970, in the Minneapolis Star. I have the article attached. I was rather amused to see it was next to a cartoon of then President Nixon painting a rosy picture of our future in the midst of despair labeled State of the Union. The same cartoon could be applied today. I hope this sheds some light on the article you read yesterday. And Rookie, the two, Heidt and Kenny won't be able to see this very well, but
In
That's
the
legit.
future,
That's
in
legit.
There
the
it is.
future, provide that information at the get-go.
well, that John has that newspaper service. I do not.
I'm looking right now. Yeah.
There it is. There's that day's editorial page. There's the cartoon of Nixon. There was another editor letter called "Case of the Stolen Camper," and but this was the lead letter to the editor on Friday, January 23rd or 25th, whatever I said. Oh,
23rd.
1979, not 1980.
1979.
1970. From
Sure.
Jesse Allen. So it was
Before I
real.
put that in here.
And I'm not going to argue with you. I'm just, again, telling you why you were both wrong. And it was a
Am
ray
I
of hope.
wrong when I'm trying to protect your best interests, sir?
No, but my instincts are often fooled. I'll grant you that. But
Yeah.
they weren't.
Yeah.
They weren't fooled by that yesterday. I'm pleased to see it corroborated, but I had no doubts that it was real. I could tell from the type. I've been studying that type for 50 years, and it looked like a letter to the editor to me. So there you have it.
Did you tell me what page already? Look, I'm on that day. I just can't find this.
Somebody
Well, it'd
needs
be
to
the
stay in
editorial
the...
page,
Ye-
John.
yes, but it doesn't have a number because this goes by numbers.
12.
41 or 44?
You tell me.
A lot.
79 or
Oh,
70?
4A. I'm sorry. 4A, maybe? 4A?
Okay.
Good luck, John.
Trying to get there.
Page
Yeah,
4.
you guys continue on.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
I'm interested.
All right.
It's
Okay.
page 4. That would be probably the last page of an evening edition of the Star, which would have been thin. It looks like 4A to me.
Sounds like you studied a little too much of it.
This would be the Minneapolis Tribune, right?
Nope. Minneapolis Star, the evening paper.
Tribune was the morning.
Star. Well, now I got the wrong paper.
Well,
Jeez.
that never mind. Take a break and let him find it, and let's come back with his news, which he might be able to lead with his own correction.
Neat.
No, I will not.
I don't have a thing.
Got it. The Winter Carnival is over, and he is happy the Vulcans won again. Here's Joe Souchere.
Suits, we're looking for a special guest for tomorrow's edition of News from the Krabby Coffee Shop, and we were hoping we could have you on. We're looking for somebody who is an expert who's had maybe one or more or 20 in their lifetime work wives.
That would not be
And
me.
so we want to talk to you about your many work wives.
Never
So
had
could
one.
you come in early and join us tomorrow?
In fact, you are the same people who always give me grief for not knowing who anybody is.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah, I guess that won't work out.
No.
And I guess we also usually work close together. Are we work bros? Are we? What are
Bras.
we? Are we bras?
You know, Garage Logic's piano player, Stephen C.
I sure do.
Sure.
Get this. Friday and Saturday in the big room at the Commodore with the bar open.
Yeah.
He's going to be doing Love on the Hill concerts for Valentine's. This Friday and Saturday, get $20 tickets at eventbrite.com. He's going to be joined by, he's going to be joined by
Whole
F.
cast
and
of
Scott.
characters.
F. Scott Fitzgerald and Zelda will be swirling about.
Love that.
But he's going to be joined by vocalist Jack Cassidy and Jillian Gubash, musician Nate Wilson on violin, vocalist Catherine Budzian, special guest Saturday, songwriter Jeff Arundel. The concert will be in the larger
Arundel.
room of the Commodore.
Arundel.
What did I say?
Arundel.
Arundel? Arundel?
Yeah.
And the cash bar will be open, and best of all, it will be an easy stroll for many of the fans on the hill. So Stephen C. this Friday and Saturday in the Commodore, which is a neat venue. So there you have a little something to look forward to. You take your honey
That's
to that
pretty cool.
after you get done doing her nails. Here's Johhny Heidt.
Wow, her toenails.
Here's Johhny Heidt
you know-
in his newsroom.
Do you know what I'm doing Friday night, though?
I don't.
Friday night, I'm emceeing the Nativity Men's Sports Shirt Stag.
Oh, boy.
And it's
the
Steve
guest?
Steve Walsh
Yeah.
from the,
Sure.
why can't I think of
Played
the
at Cretan and then he
Miami
Hurricanes.
yeah.
And Pat Eilers, who was a Nativity graduate and a St. Thomas Academy graduate, and he played on the Notre Dame
All right.
football club. So it's going to be
cool.
the Catholics versus the convicts.
Did Eilers play Walsh in college?
Yeah, and the Catholic versus convicts.
All right.
Notre Dame and Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing. But maybe we'll go Saturday.
Saturday.
I have, and just as a tease to my news here, you guys were talking about work wives. I have a story about friends at work. So you'll want to listen for
Work
that.
friends.
John, no.
Just a few minutes.
John, no.
Oh, that's the story?
Yeah, that's what we're spinning it off of.
Oh, well, I guess I won't have that story.
No,
Then you'll have
no.
to listen tomorrow. To,
Yeah.
Okay.
whatever that show is.
Yeah.
Krabby Coffee.
Read your emails, for God's sakes.
He did. He just read the one about Air Mechanical.
Speaking of Air
The one
Mechanical, thank
the
you,
one
Rook.
that matters.
This news is brought to you by Air Mechanical. Since 1985, Air Mechanical has served the Twin Cities for their heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical needs. It can also help you out with some other stuff too: drain cleaning, duct cleaning, and indoor air quality. They serve the entire metro area, from general maintenance to full installation. They got you covered. Furnace installs, boilers, heat pumps, garage heaters, and lots more. They employ top trained tradespeople in the state of Minnesota and operate with full integrity, doing things the right way, not the easy way. Their Total Solutions membership is like having Air Mechanical on retainer. Keep all of your home maintenance needs in one comprehensive membership. Select one tune-up a year. Enjoy all the benefits like discounted maintenance, repairs, service, and equipment costs. Catch problems before they come up and keep your home's mechanical running smoothly. We'd love it if you gave Air Mechanical a shout for any heating, cooling, plumbing, or electrical needs. Call or book online at thinkami.com. That's thinkami.com. In the news, Governor Walz scheduled to sign a bill this afternoon that requires all energy produced in Minnesota be carbon-free by the year 2040. It's a plan Governor Walz included in his full budget proposal and is supported by DFL lawmakers. Many Republicans oppose the bill because of concerns about electrical grid problems that could happen in extreme temperatures when demand peaks. And some lawmakers, though, say it would make the state a leader in clean energy. That's to be signed in about 3 hours as we speak right now. This time.
When is he? When are they sending out those checks that we're all going to get here?
Yeah.
Well, or most of us anyway here.
Striking food service workers in Hastings are striking Tuesday morning for a new school contract with the district. There are a total of 35 workers represented by the union. The 10-day notice of strike was filed back in late January. Negotiations have been going on since June, and a strike authorization vote passed in December with 92% in support of the action. The picket lines are on the public sidewalk outside of Hastings Middle School. They were out there this past morning, and they'll be there again this afternoon from 2 to 3:30.
What are we complaining about?
They would like a new contract of these school food service workers.
Mm-hmm.
They would. I'm going to skip the story that you already read.
Lunch ladies.
Lunch ladies, yes.
Yep.
There's a renewed push at the Minnesota Capitol to impose tougher penalties for carjacking crimes. Republican from Maple Grove, Senator Warren Limmer, says he intends to introduce a public safety bill next week that would make carjacking a felony with strong penalties. Limmer said the skyrocketing number of carjackings in 2021 and 22 has created a need to classify carjackings as a separate offense. The Minnesota House DFL introduced a $300 million public safety bill in late January. It contains provisions for crime prevention and intervention programs, but does not specifically address the carjacking crimes.
And this carjacking bill was introduced by a Republican, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, it's going nowhere. He's wasting his time. They're going to vote it
Well,
down.
basically, right now, it isn't even much of a crime.
Oh, so you're on
no,
their side. Okay.
Hell yes.
All right.
Should have been a felony 20 years ago.
Oh, so you're not on
So
their
he's,
side.
yeah, he's.
Whose side am I on?
I'm on the
That's
You're
what
fence.
we're
You're
trying to
limerick.
figure
I'm
out.
on the fence.
I'm on the side of making it a felony.
Okay,
you go.
good. But my point is, since we're controlled by Democrats, it's going nowhere.
Probably not.
Update to a story we told you about yesterday. In order to meet a requirement ordered by the Minnesota Department of Corrections regarding overcrowding concerns, inmates at the Ramsey County Jail will be transferred to facilities at other counties, as well as to the Ramsey County Workhouse. The DOC ordered the jail to reduce capacity, cited multiple violations. According to the sheriff's office, 30 to 50 female inmates will be taken to the county's correctional facilities starting Wednesday morning. Meanwhile, an additional 30 to 50 inmates will be sent to facilities in other counties beginning today. The sheriff's office adds another 25 inmates will be sent to state correctional facilities. Ramsey County Sheriff Bob Fletcher says he's also working to hire additional jail staff.
Speaking of work wives, Kenny, do you still occasionally stroll down there on those Tuesday afternoons when it's release day and see if anybody needs a little ride home?
Rescuers in
Don't answer that,
Put
please.
the window down. He's having a heater.
yeah.
You need a ride?
Hey, need a smoke?
Rescuers in Turkey and Syria braved freezing darkness, aftershocks, and collapsing buildings as they dig for survivors buried by a string of earthquakes that now has killed at least 5,000 people. Disaster agencies said several thousand buildings were flattened in cities across a vast border region. Through the night, survivors used their bare hands to pick over the twisted ruins of multi-story apartment blocks, trying to save family, friends, and anyone else sleeping inside when the first massive 7.8 magnitude quake hit early Monday. That area already suffering, plagued by war, insurgency, refugee crises, and a recent cholera outbreak.
I think my sisters, Teresa and Maria, both dodged a couple of bullets, being in Turkey at that time and then going to Jerusalem.
Wow.
A lot of people got down on their knees and figured it was the end. They thought it was Judgment Day. They just thought, this is it.
This is
It's
it.
over.
Well,
Wouldn't
that's
it be
me-
awesome if it was? Bring it on. Let's go.
Well, it's a little tough for them, I think.
Like one more cocktail.
Well,
President Joe Biden will speak to a joint session of
would I.
Congress.
Break glass, smoke lucky.
What's that, huh, Joe?
you know what?
Yeah.
I bet, unfortunately, there's going to be a lot more than 4,000 dead.
Oh,
They
yeah. Well,
haven't
they're saying
begun
5
to
already.
overturn that rubble yet.
President Joe Biden speaking to a joint session of Congress tonight against the backdrop of renewed tensions with China and a brewing showdown with House Republicans over raising the federal debt ceiling. Biden plans to call for a minimum tax on billionaires and quadrupling the levy on stock buybacks, items that stand little chance of passing through the divided Congress, but could resonate with the public. Biden will also nod at the economic anxiety many Americans are facing while explaining how his policies will improve their situations. All of this, according to White House economic advisor Brian Deese. Deese said Biden will
Deese
make
nuts.
clear.
He's nuts.
Deese, Biden, I knew that was coming somehow. Biden said he will make Deese said Biden will make a clear contrast to trickle-down economic philosophy that's pervaded thinking for years and decades in the past.
Is the do we buy this BS? I've watched 50 of these. It doesn't make any difference if it's a Republican or Democrat. It's the same BS every State of the Union.
Yeah,
Same
they're just
exact
boilerplate.
speech.
They're very and they stand
And
up.
this guy in particular, Biden, you've been a career guy there. You've been there 46, 50 years. What have and you're going to be the one to tell us we got to make things better. Well, what the hell have you been doing?
Right.
And they'll have their guests, and they're all politically protected type guests. You know, I'm sure they'll have all sorts of special guests. I think I'm going to excuse myself.
Yeah.
I don't think I have to watch this.
Well, it's fun.
I've seen them all. They're all the same.
But he might go off the script and say something like,
Yeah, I know, but that'll be captured on.
True.
audio.
Let somebody else recap it
That's
for you.
right.
That's the way I work, too.
Right.
You,
I'm not going to record the whole thing and edit. I'm just going to rip off somebody else.
U.S. authorities announcing the arrest Monday of a co-founder of a notorious Otto-Waffen neo-Nazi group and a woman he met online in the latest extremist plot to attack public electricity facilities. The FBI says Brandon Russell, who helped found Otto-Waffen in 2015, was arrested in Florida after spending 4 years in prison for possessing bomb-making materials. The woman is Sarah Beth Clendaniel. She was arrested in Maryland, where she'd spent time in prison for armed robbery. Guided by Russell, Clendaniel had planned to acquire a gun and to attack 5 electrical substations around Baltimore, Maryland, according to the FBI. Clendaniel said doing so would probably permanently, completely lay waste to the city, according to an indictment in federal court. This follows a series of attacks on power substations in various parts of the country, mostly led by white supremacists, aiming to foment unrest. In early January, 2 men arrested in the state of Washington after attacks on 4 power substations using high-powered weapons. Early December, 45,000 homes and businesses in North Carolina left without power after someone used a high-powered rifle to damage 2 electricity substations. And on January 17th, another North Carolina power facility damaged by a gunshot. No suspects in those last 2 cases.
Aren't we vulnerable? My word. You could knock us out in 5 seconds by just taking care of the electricity.
Nobody ever foments good.
Nope.
You notice that?
That's right.
Whenever anybody's fomenting, it's always unrest or evil.
Yeah.
Can you
Especially
foment good?
Especially in the James Bond films, I've detected that.
Yeah, but can you foment goodness? Or is
You need
foment
to.
restricted
By
to...
definition, isn't foment?
You need to
bad
foment something with your driveway, Such. That thing is a
What's
mess.
foment?
I'm going to foment spring.
Yeah.
That's the only
Okay.
thing that's going to save me.
What are you talking about?
I don't know.
What does foment mean? For real?
Foment means to stir up, to
Brew. Means to brew.
F-A-U-X? Or
F-O-M-E-N-T.
No.
foment?
F-O-M-E-N-T.
Never heard that
Foment.
in my life. I've never heard that stupid
Well,
word.
it's not
You've
that.
never
I would just say, I'm going to
word?
stir some crap up, so let's do it.
You know, this is...
Fermenting, yes.
I get made fun of in my house for using some words, and Rook reminds me of somebody who might live here and make fun of me for
Okay,
using some
good.
words.
That person is very intelligent.
Foment
there's
is a
2 of
great
them,
word,
so-
Okay,
man.
I like both of them.
Foment. Why don't you
Foment.
foment some attention on
There's
the
a
job
great
at hand?
there's a great commercial now with Colin Morikawa,
Who dat?
Roy McIlroy,
Yeah.
and Tiger Woods.
Oh, okay, golfers.
And they're advertising a new tailor-made driver or whatever it is.
You
and,
saw this while watching Pebble Beach.
Yeah, and McIlroy says, "Oh, there's forgiveness there," and Morikawa says, "Did you say forgiveness or forgiveness?" And Tiger says, "I heard far. I think he said forgiveness." And they go on and on like that. It's pretty well done.
Those wacky golfers.
Isn't that something?
Then
He's
they-
just a knee slapper.
Hit the golf ball.
And then Tiger says, "Whatever."
What do you got?
So they were fomenting some entertainment.
That's
is what they
right.
were.
I know
There you
foaming at the mouth.
Ukraine said Tuesday the last 24 hours were the deadliest of the war so far for Russian troops as Moscow pressed on with an intensifying winter assault in the east, bringing tens of thousands of freshly mobilized troops to the battlefield. The Ukrainian claims could not be independently verified. Russia has also claimed to have killed large numbers of Ukrainian troops in recent weeks. Tallies of enemy casualties from either side have typically been seen as unreliable, but the assertion that the fighting was the deadliest so far fits descriptions from both sides of an escalating campaign of close contact trench warfare.
When I say everything's wrong and everything's upside down, I include this conflict. What's been the point of it? It'll be a year on February 24th. It'll be 1 year. And think of the thousands of people dead and the kids and everybody. What's the point?
Yeah.
I'm still thinking
What is
about
because these guys are stupid.
I'm thinking fomenting, and I'm thinking when one foments, you're going to have to clean that mess up. I'm thinking there's going to be some sopping involved
Yes.
if there's been fomenting.
That's why you don't use that word.
Yeah.
All right, I have to skip the next story, Kenny says.
You know, if women ran the world,
somewhere else.
Yeah.
there wouldn't be stupid fighting like that. It
Would
wouldn't
there
be
be
a
more
It wouldn't
or
be
less
a peeing
fomenting?
contest.
You word that I can't say.
Well, okay then. Someone in Washington State overcame steep odds and won single-handedly the $754.6 million Powerball jackpot.
Wow.
Lottery officials said in a statement early Tuesday a single ticket matched all 6 numbers and that ticket sales pushed the jackpot higher than the earlier $747 million estimate. The full jackpot is for a winner opting for an annuity distributed in one immediate but partial payout, followed by additional payments over 29 years. Now, the winner can also opt for the one-time cash payment of $407.2 million. Both prizes available are the amounts before taxes, according to
You knock out half, you get 200 mil.
You know the big one that was a couple weeks ago, the couple billion or whatever it
Yeah.
was, that has not
Yeah.
been claimed yet.
Are they in a state where they can remain anonymous, like
I don't know.
Minnesota?
I
which is-
don't know.
That's what I would do.
John, the Powerball in Washington, what side of the state? Do you know where? What town?
I
What
don't
area?
have a town. Do not have a town. Sorry.
Do we have an over-under on how long the winner will be live after their binge?
Interesting entertainment note if you're a Bob Dylan fan. Girl from the North Country, the Broadway musical set in Duluth and driven by the songs of Dylan, will become a movie. Olivia Colman, who won an Oscar for The Favorite, will star in Girl. It's also set to feature Woody Harrelson and singer Chloe Bailey. The film's writer-director is Irish playwright Conor McPherson, who created the musical that reportedly made the writer of the song sob openly when he saw it. No production start has been announced for the film, but Minnesotans will get to see the stage version first. Its tour kicks off this fall at the Orpheum Theater. It's set in 1934. It takes place at a beleaguered guest house operated by Nick, played by Harrelson. His estranged wife, Elizabeth, who sings a rueful take on Like a Rolling Stone, will be played by Coleman. Bailey will play their secretive daughter.
Well, what's the song that made somebody sob?
The play did.
The play
made
did?
Bob-
Well,
made
if it's a
Bob
Dylan
sob.
play, why is it set in 1934?
It's not a Dylan play, but it's based on a song by Bob Dylan.
Oh,
Girl
I
from
see.
Girl from North Country.
Oh,
which
I
is
see.
actually
Just the
one
song.
of my favorite
Yeah,
early
yeah.
Dylan songs.
Well, John, thank you very much.
Same,
That's
yeah.
it?
That's
I
fantastic.
agree.
Well, no,
Yeah.
what have you got? Give
Wasn't I
us
supposed
one
to get
last
to one story? Oh, wait,
blockbuster.
I couldn't. That's right. I wasn't allowed to, was I? Here's one. I'm sorry. This ends in death. I'm sorry, but just the picture of it makes me.
All right.
I don't know. I'll just read it, and you guys can think I'm nuts or whatever. A fiercely independent mother, that's how she's described by her family, who loved the outdoors, was found trampled to death by a herd of cows.
Oh, boy.
as
See,
she
cows
walked
are
her dog.
They're mean.
careful.
74-year-old Kathy McKellar had been staying in a holiday cottage in Griddleton, Lancashire, in September of last year when she went for a stroll with her cockapoo, Archie. Later that day, the owner of the cottage, John Turner, found the dog with his lead still attached after he made his way back. When he was unable to find Kathy, he called 999, the equivalent of 911 there, before, it'd be 911, not 911, before going back to look for her. The following day, farmer David Towler found Kathy's body in a field. She was pronounced dead. Speaking at an inquest held yesterday, Kathy's son Andy described his mom as fiercely independent, a woman who still loved tennis, walking, and baking.
Well, it's a shame.
Sad.
That's a shame.
It is, and it's the picture in my mind of cows trampling somebody.
Right.
is-
I'm seeing a Far Side cartoon, but the woman just died. So
Yeah, I'm not going to go there.
yeah. Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
He's not screwing around. He's Joe Souchere. What do you say?
Well, I say this. The 2023 Choice Bank Minnesota Golf Show is coming up at the Minneapolis Convention Center Friday, Feb 24 through Sunday, Feb 26. I'll keep telling you this out of my amazement. You go online at minnesotagolfshow.com. You buy a ticket for $12, and you get 13 rounds valued at $455.
Amazing.
That seems good.
It's a fantastic deal. Plus a coupon for $20 off at the PGA Tour Superstore. Great deals on the latest equipment, accessories, golf apparel, special offers from your favorite courses and golf resorts, lessons from PGA pros, and your chance to win $100,000 at the Nelson Marine Long Putt Contest. But go to minnesotagolfshow.com, get a $12 ticket, and you're picking up 13 free rounds of golf from TwinCitiesGolf.com.
Wow.
Presented by Choice Bank, and thanks in part to Nelson Marine, Waggle Golf, and your select Buick GMC dealers. I want to tip my cap to Bethany Hamilton.
A tip of the cap.
You know who Bethany Hamilton is?
Bethany
who's that?
Hamilton.
One of the most well-known
Apparently not.
competitive female surfers in the
Oh,
world.
sure. Yep.
And she's a member of the World Surf League, and she has said, go put it where the sun don't shine, because they're going to allow men to compete as women. And she's saying, the hell with you. She's been competing in international surfing since 1998 when she was just 13. No, in 2003 when she was just 13. You might know her by this. She lost her left arm after a tiger shark attacked her
They
while
made a
she was
movie about her.
practicing. Yeah. Despite that setback, Hamilton returned to the surfboard and the competitive circuit. She wrote about her experience in an autobiography that inspired the 2011 film Soul Surfer, starring Helen Hunt, Dennis Quaid, and Carrie Underwood. Okay, she's now 32. She's a wife. She's a mom of 3. And she's saying the World Surfer League's decision to allow trans women to compete against female surfers is bogus BS, and she's not going to
So
go
she's
for
just
it.
going to further her career in the one-armed surfer circuit.
Yes.
Okay.
Here's what they're going to do. The trans people can compete against the female surfers so long as their testosterone levels remain at below 5 nmol/L.
Is there a tent on the beach that they check that out with
They
right
must
on
have to
site?
go into the blue tent, like in the NFL game. You have to have the testosterone level at or below 5 nmol/L for at least 1 year.
And when the dude walks out, they get the red flag that they pull up on the surf.
And that now accords with Olympic guidelines. BS.
Come
This
on.
is just why should women have to suffer this? Whether it's track and field or surfing or whatever. This is BS. If you're a trans surfer, go have your own tournament. What's wrong with that?
But if you're trans, regardless of what size you're coming to, isn't that your
What?
full-time?
What size?
side you're coming to? What side?
Yeah.
Whether girl, guy, girl,
Whatever.
Isn't that basically your full-time job? You don't have any activities to do.
I don't know.
You got to protest. You got to work on new legislation.
Who was this fraud in college swimming? Leah Thomas?
Oh yeah, recently, the big.
Every woman in college swimming should have given that guy the finger and said, go bleep yourself. But the world is running out of people that say, go bleep yourself. This is why we have balloons.
How about the skater?
I don't care what sport it is. Why should women have to compete with men?
What about if they get the body part cut off?
No, the hell with them. They still got the
have to
biological
show.
construction of
You
a
have to
male.
show.
You want to swim against Michael Phelps, with or without a Johnson?
I want to see if they're smooth down there.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Well, I didn't need that. But what are you going to do?
Yikes. You can edit that right.
Self-edit button. Flipped on that one.
Yesterday we talked about
Fomenting.
eastern counties in eastern Oregon wishing to leave Oregon and join Idaho.
Right.
And we were intrigued by it, and it probably won't get anywhere, but it's worth looking at. But I got a note from Joe Geegan in Colorado Springs, Colorado, who said this has happened before. There was talk of creating the state of Superior. I remember hearing adults speak of this as a kid growing up in Superior. My recollection was that the cities in northern Minnesota, Wisconsin, and the UP were tired of being ignored by their respective state legislatures budgetarily. So they wanted to form their own state and control their own destinies. As a kid, it made sense to me. It's a compelling proposition and one that we may hear being discussed with more frequency around the country given our current political climate. Certainly, it is a decision that cannot be taken lightly and would require mind-boggling planning at countless levels. Who owns the State Department, buildings, properties, and other assets located in the area wishing to secede? The depreciation on those assets. When and how are the existing budget expenditures in those areas phased out? Oh, yeah, the creation of a brand spanking new government along with all of its administrative agencies. Happy belated congratulations on the 1,000th podcast, a rare and notable accomplishment. Always pushing back, Joe Geegan in Colorado Springs. And I looked it up. The state of Superior, or it was to be known as the state of Ontonagon, as in Ontonagon, Michigan,
Okay.
Sure.
is a proposed 51st state that would be created by the secession of the UP from the rest of Michigan, named for adjacent Lake Superior. Some proposals would also incorporate territory from the northern Lower Peninsula, northern Wisconsin, and even Minnesota. The proposals are spurred by cultural differences, geographic separation from Lower Michigan, and a belief that the problems of the Superior region are ignored by distant state governments. When the Northwest Territory was being organized by the fledgling U.S. government, Thomas Jefferson proposed a state which he named Sylvania, including the Upper Peninsula and territory that is now northern Wisconsin and northeastern Minnesota. The idea has gained serious attention at times, but faces substantial practical obstacles. And, of course, we all can imagine what those would be. But I find it fascinating.
I like it real estate-wise. It grabs all the valuable lakeshore property. I like that.
And it goes on to say in 1959, following the statehood of Alaska and Hawaii, Ironwood, Michigan resident Ted Albert sued for divorce between the two peninsulas. In 1962, an Upper Peninsula Independence Association was founded to advocate for the formation of a state of Superior. A secession bill was submitted to the Michigan legislature, and 20,000 petition signatures were collected, 36,000 short of the number needed for a ballot referendum on separation. Efforts continued into the mid-'70s. When residents of the UP and northern Wisconsin, each resentful of perceived tax drains and other slights from their downstate cousins and fears that environmental regulations would harm their economies, worked together to pursue the desired legislation, and several prominent legislators, including Upper Peninsula politician Dominic Jacobetti, attempted enacting such legislation in the 70s with no success. Some support for statehood still exists in the region, although no organized movement was active as of the year 2012. There you have it, folks. Learn more here by accident than elsewhere by design. I had never previously heard of that movement. Had you, staff, anyone?
No,
Anyone?
No, but I
Bueller?
sure do love it. And I could use their advice because we're already calling for redistricting in my new state, Mindak, where we're going to take everything west of Highway 71 and we're going to merge into North and South Dakota. Paul has already emailed me, and he's asking if we can't include Wright County in that.
I'm picturing Highway 371. I'm not picturing 71.
71 starts down in Iowa. She goes through Sauk Center, Wilmer, Jackson, Windham, Redwood Falls, and then north of 94, Long Prairie.
Well, at what point do you cut east?
And you cut east up north of Leech Lake, I believe. And
Leech Lake ain't going to want to stay in Minnesota.
Yeah, you go all the way up to Bemidji, and then you kind of start trending northeast up to Big Falls.
Mm-hmm. And you imagine this as a vertical split of the state,
right?
Not a horizontal.
Right. Everything east of there is in heavily taxed Minnesota. See, the reason I don't want Wright County is because of St. Cloud. If you can somehow get St. Cloud out of Wright County, that's a Wright County town,
yeah, St.
right?
Cloud. Remember, we need a correspondent in St. Cloud to take care of Kamala Harris's vehicle count and determine the EV. She'll be here Thursday. We can't wait. But St. Cloud has some fruitcakes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Paul. I like you and everything, but I'm just going to have to say no. You're going to have to move west of 71.
Who's Paul?
He's the one suggesting we keep Wright County. Oh. I'm suggesting you move out to, I don't know, Glenwood or Starbuck, somewhere around there. Villard.
All right.
I would like to point out, Joe, before you get to only today in history, I have found Jesse Allen's letter from Friday, January 23rd, 1970, in the Minneapolis Star.
Wonderful.
It indeed is there.
Yes, of course it would. You doubted me?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, and I'll make a little fun of myself here. You know why I couldn't find it?
Why?
I kept thinking the newspaper went 1A, 2B, 3C.
Oh, no.
And I kept looking that way. And then I went, no, wait a minute. The whole A section is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That's right. That's right.
My fault. A little slow.
Is that still in front of you right there?
I have it right here, yeah.
What was the front page on that night in January in 1970? And remember, the Star was the evening paper. This country was once so charming that Dad came home from work and read the evening paper. Mm-hmm. And then passed out.
Right.
1A is
Be the height of Vietnam.
Lakes hold promise and peril. Israelis leave Egyptian Isle, and 2 views of Nixon's speech because it was the day after the State of the Union.
Oh, boy. Just this time of year, of course.
Yep.
Only because they come to us all the way from Marloth Park in Mpumalanga, South Africa, from the traveling Lymans at Worldwide Waftage. It was on this day,
2-7.
in 1851, the Minnesota Territorial Legislature voted to make St. Paul the capital and to build a prison in Stillwater.
Oh,
On this day in 1867, Laura Ingalls Wilder.
come on.
Oh, I'm wrong. St. Cloud is Stearns County.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang it. Well, back to the drawing board. Anyway, what did Laura have to say?
Well, she was born near Pepin, Wisconsin on this day in 1867. Her family settled in Walnut Grove, Redwood County from 1874 to 1880, living briefly in Iowa for the year 1876 to 77. She is remembered for writing the Little House on the Prairie books, which chronicle her family's experiences as pioneers. She died Feb 10, 1957, in Mansfield, Missouri.
You want to get depressed? Watch a biography about her.
Yeah.
Dad was a Rolling Stone
yeah.
and a bit of a scoundrel.
Yeah.
And
Not of a show.
Laura's daughter did a great deal of the writing of those books. Yeah.
On this day in 1922, Ga
Février.
Benaguilias, which means which the flesh peels off,
Gross.
also known as John Smith, in Ojibwe,
What?
reported to be 137 years old, died at Cass Lake on this day in 1922. Now, really, you want to live that long with the name flesh peels off?
Well, isn't that, a lot of times that's the first thing they
I understand.
runs with a bear.
I
Right?
understand.
Doesn't roll right off the tongue, does it?
He died in the 1900s. He'd have been alive, if that's true, in the 1700s. That's pretty amazing when you think about it.
Well, your
yes.
natives live right.
1785, right? He would have been born, I think.
Well, you're
I'm
doing the math.
I think
not.
so.
On this day in 1976,
Février 7.
Cecil Newman, publisher of 2 African-American newspapers in the Twin Cities, died. He was born in Kansas City on July 25, 1903. Newman moved to Minneapolis in 1922 and launched the St. Paul Recorder and Minneapolis Spokesman in 1934.
Okay.
And that concludes this day in history, GLers.
I'm
Thank you
being
for your
told-
attendance at the University of Garage Logic. You are told?
I'm being told by someone that's in the know in the Lexington Dale 94 area that there is a school that is on hold.
Oh,
I don't know why. Hold in place means they have limited movement.
I see.
Such, how many other Wright counties do we have, or W counties do we have?
Let's see. Wabasha, Wadena, Wasiki, Watonwan, Wilkin, Winona, and Wright.
Jeez, a lot of them.
There we go.
Wright goes from Elk River down south of Delano, west of Rice Lake, up to South Haven.
They'd join the new state,
Clearwater.
wouldn't they?
I don't want them. They're east of 71.
Oh, all right.
I don't want them.
There's just to show you things don't change.
Oh,
Yeah.
Johnny,
I'm
I'm sorry.
looking at the Klobuchar column from that newspaper we talked about.
In which he made up every single quote that appeared in that column.
Well, the whole thing is about abortion. The
Is it?
entire
Really?
column.
How good it is.
Was he
Well,
pro?
it's an interview with somebody, a Mr. McCoy, Robert McCoy.
Of course he was.
So,
Okay, well, on that note, let's try to bring it up a little bit. Okay. Reminding you to check out the GarageLogic.com Town Council. The Town Council is fun, costs $100 a year or $10 a month, and you are entertained like no other. Check out the Garage Logic Town Council online at GarageLogic.com. Also, the Garage Logic online store at GL. The Daily Logician, you get some insight there, and PodMN on your smartphone for any podcast that you want your mind to listen to. Isn't that beautiful? GarageLogic.cha.